Hey, good morning, good afternoon, folks.
Hello, Daryl.
How's it going, Carly?
Not happy that winter is coming.
Ah, yes, yes. I'm in Barcelona right now, so not too
Mm.
wintry.
That was a really nice city. Did you go to the church there?
I have not had time. I've been either chained to my desk or at a conference.
Uh,
I'm not sure. My wife came over. She may have. She'll be back later this evening, but I know she went to the beach and picked sea glass. So we did.
yeah.
We've walked by it 4 or 5 times. We're not far from it. We're right by the diagonal road it's on. So we had
Oh, yeah.
dinner we had dinner within a block of it twice this week. So
On a sunny day, it's inside is
oh,
absolutely
it's
amazing.
yeah, no, it's having been to many. Just my uncle was Italian and he wanted to go to all the churches. But it is a special place. It is a pretty spectacular place. So let's give folks just a couple minutes. I know we want to jump in and get things going fairly quickly. I think it should be a relatively short meeting. Um, Not a huge amount to review. I know I'm guessing, Carter, you want to talk about the demo day, the Trust over IP birthday party.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Not a whole lot to say there, other than we should be sharing the link and promoting it.
Okay.
So promoting it in your channels, and the link is um
Let's make sure we get it
yeah.
on. I'm going to put it in the
So here,
just
yeah, I'll put in the
yep,
chat. Here is the verbiage if you're looking for verbiage for sharing.
yep.
And I think Trust over IP members are all automatically registered, but I'm not sure.
Cool. November 19th. Cool. Okay. So I'm putting that into the meeting notes. And that's the link right there, right? Perfect.
That's the registration
Perfect.
link and the updating members, speakers, etc.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I know I'm on the hook for creating a intro to TRTF and then talking about IRA's use of it, which we have some pretty darn good working examples, but I don't have a presentation yet.
Yeah,
It's
you're on the hook. I
yeah,
have a
which is I'm excited. I'm excited about that. But the problem I have is getting it and circulating it is going to be timeline
uh,
wise that this task force will have to either throw in on the TRTF introduction or unfortunately wait until probably next Thursday. Hopefully I'll have something in hand. But
you're at
I've been on the road too much.
yeah, you're presenting at
So
12:30 PT Pacific time.
12:30 p.m. or a.m.
Middle of the day.
Cool. Awesome. Awesome.
And you have an hour.
We'll make it
And
magic.
yeah, and I think you were emailed the information to verify.
Who would that have come from?
Thomas.
Thomas. Oh, he would have done it probably on my Continuum Loop account, which I don't check as much. Let me just confirm that, and then we'll get running on here.
Yep.
Uh, I don't see anything recent at all,
Okay. I'll
but I'm
double check.
looking for Thomas, so who knows? Cool.
Yep.
All right. I'm going to share my screen and we can get the conversation going. I'm sorry I missed last week. I know it was a little chaotic. Poor Andor, I think, had to shepherd the meeting at last minute, and I know he's not sleeping lately. He's doing hardcore, so I doubt he'll make it. Drummond is on a plane to Sweden right now. Um, He and I saw him in London last week, but he's running around doing first person stuff. But he's also message he wanted to share was that the need for this protocol is growing. The need for something simple, scalable is growing, because certainly his world of first person project is seeing it. Certainly from an IRA perspective, more and more of our members are seeing this kind of, what I don't want to say dire need, but this need to just get these simple answers that we've been looking for. And if you look at the world of agentic MCP and A2A, agent to agent, and model context protocol, they're running into the same problem, which is Andor's world. So it's kind of interesting that these things are converging, and that the work that we've been doing here at Trust Registry Task Force, Trust over IP, has been clearly forward-looking, but we need to get these things going. So quick update from last meeting, the update of, I'm going to share I'm sharing my screen. I'm just going to jump to, there's the pull request. I'm going to jump to the actual repo. Sorry, I'm on a slow connection because I'm connecting back from Barcelona to Canada, so I don't have language problems. It's amazing how much auto sensing is like, please don't, just don't. But we actually pushed the major update with that action resource into the specification. So I would ask that, really the action was for today, or just remember our antitrust is nobody, everyone's here is a regular, but our antitrust policy applies. We really do want to get public review 2 out. Obviously mid-October is not the correct time frame. I would say if we can get it out by end November, I don't think there's anything unreasonable about that. Mid-October it just became impossible. I'm just going to change this to, I'd love to get it out by mid-November, because it really isn't that much there. But we do have a couple outstanding issues. We do want to make sure that these are taken care of. I'll go to the issues in a moment. But really, there's a couple to close. One was just, actually, I closed it already, which is this, I think I closed that one. There were some that I already had said from the last meeting, close them, so I did close those. But the spec inconsistent, let me just run to the bottom of this. Bear with me, please. Yeah, so this is the long discussion that happened with regards to the park one, and this is one that warrants closing now that we've actually got this deployed. But let me know if anybody has any issues with that. Otherwise, at the end of the meeting, we can close that issue off. This was just cleaning up a lot of different work. It was the trust registry discussion. Do we need trust registry ID? Do we need an ecosystem ID or authority ID? We landed on authority ID. How are we dealing with assertion ID? Well, we broke those into action and resource. And we have live users who are now doing that live in a demo proof of concept mode. They're not gone production yet. But and they're finding that issue resource concept of, am I allowed to action resource, action of issue, resource of IRA card, business card, for example. Action of manage issuers, where another ecosystem is managing something else. That's helping explain the concept of trust registry query protocol really, really, really well in the wild with folks who are not savvy about reading specifications and stuff. So I'm looking forward to that. If anyone has any issues, just please let me know. I also saw the slow. Did you want to the slides with the trust registry bite-sized trust? I saw Sankarshan weighed in on your script, Carly.
Yeah, I recorded it this morning, the voiceover. I finished the slides, and I'm in the midst of generating the video, and then I can share the link in this channel on Discord.
Awesome. Thank you.
Draft video, so don't share it, just
I will tweet that thing out like it's hot potatoes.
yeah, and I'll get my whole tens of viewers. Yeah. Because it's on my personal YouTube.
Yeah.
For edits.
Gotcha. Yeah, totally makes sense. There remains one. So jumping from that, so if nobody has any issues, I'll be closing that one off later today, probably tomorrow morning, because it's already 4:10 p.m. and I got meetings until I think 7 p.m. tonight. Jumping to another one, though, this is an issue that I think probably warrants some more discussion, because this is an idea that came out of Alex on basically that in his ecosystem they need more information than the test of, does entity X have authorization Y in ecosystems Z, and authorization is, in this case, action resource, issue the thing. They need a locator to find where things are on the ledger. As I've been thinking about it, and I weighed in on the ticket itself, it seems to me that if okay, Alex has responded. Awesome. Terrific. So what I pondered was, we've added the optional locator to the context object, which is optional itself. Because the concept of a locator, if you aren't ledger-based, doesn't make any sense. So optional to me, makes sense, but also it's also very system specific. Is that if I need to know that, I may already be inside your ecosystem, and I may already know so much that I'm not using the trust registry query protocol. It's sort of one view. He says, thanks for the update. Appreciate including this in. Although I've spoken to a few of our engineers are unsure whether context is the correct place. Happy to progress with this for now, as it certainly unblocks our current work. So, I mean, it sounds like he's accepted the idea that we have. The one question that has come up, it has not come up in the ticket, so I'm not going to call this a formal issue, is that, and bear with me while I jump to here. Here we go. I wanted to come up to the context object itself. So if we take a look at the actual context object itself, here's our example, which uses the working example that we use in the in some of the examples where I say, hey, I want to do the were you authorized to issue driver's licenses on November 17th, 2024? Meaning I'm going back to that point in time, were you authorized? That's where we're using the time object. We have some examples of time being used. There is a schema in the repo which does allow for and shows an example of, if I go here for schema authorization request, for example. You know what? We've lost the locator, but it's an optional object. What they're asking for us to do is add in this as a coded one. So there would also be a locator. So there would be time, there would be locator that someone could use. The only confusion that raises in my mind is someone looking like, why is that there? And I don't understand it. Mr. Perry, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I think we also need to, whether it's now or in the future, put in options to timestamp it. Put in a
When you
time
say timestamp, can you clarify what you mean? We may already have some of that.
Well, you can get an authorized timestamp from a timestamp authority,
Right.
and that's how certain things are time boxed at a point of time. So,
right. Oh, I see what you mean. So, okay. Would you mean in the following? Go ahead, please.
So when you plant a record, you could anchor it instead of just saying, because right now you can just say it's whatever time, and you could change it. It's not as assured. So eventually, there may be higher assurance trust registries that want time boxed records.
Yeah. So where you can say, so you would say at that point, given the working example, I said, at noon on November 17, 2024, were you authorized, and show me proof. Right. Where you have some, you have more assurance behind that. And that's when we look at one of the diagrams we were using was the trust registry query protocol is very, very simple. Especially using authorization. Does entity X have authorization Y in ecosystem Z? Does it have the right action resource? I'm still got to get the words on that better. If I'm consuming that, I have one look at the world. But if I'm providing that, I also may say, by the way, I'm a high assurance ecosystem, such as C2PA. And when I give you the high assurance answer, you know by my governance that I have used the C2PA timestamp authority to provide that. Is that what you're getting at, Scott?
Yes.
Yeah. Because other ones would be, for example, I know the system that, I'm not going to name it, but I know the system that's managing professional engineer, CPA, certainly. There's a company out of Quebec that does both of these, and they do a lot of states and provinces. They would likely not have a timestamp authority, but their legal mandate is to provide that information. And if you don't feel they're high assurance, then great. Maybe they would modify their systems to provide a timestamp authority. But I'm sure what they would do is go through, search their database for when has an engineer, when did they start? Did their license lapse? Have they been reinstated? And have that on a time window basis, but they wouldn't likely have a, or maybe they do, a timestamp authority. And that time parameter would work really, really well with that, Scott. Because you could provide I'll show you I'll share the screen again. Share. The sample responses that we've got, sorry, Bear, I'm gonna move that out of my way. The sample responses we've got, so authorization response comes back with, time requested, time evaluated. We can add more in the context object as well that says, hey, here's the time we did it. But I could add more information here as we go ahead. What's helpful though is when we look at this object here, we can extend this context object as we need to. What we can also do in subsequent versions of this is say, there are some mandatories now. If you want high assurance profile, you need to have the following in your context object. So we could certainly do that. Scott, do you think that helps?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, let's go with what it is. But I think in the future there will be a rev or a PR that may require, and we can put in timestamps.
Yep. Do you want to capture that right now as an issue, Scott? And what we can do is, the reason I asked that is,
Okay.
if we look in here, just so we don't lose it we don't want to lose it, but we've also got, for example.
All right, let me go into the GitHub repository.
Yeah, because or created a backlog. And we can put it in the backlog so that we formally do not lose it. We say this is something to be considered for the next release, right?
Yeah. Okay, I'll do that. Perfect.
Awesome. So that was really the biggest two issues that are at play right now. There are issues that Drummond is traveling. He's been all over the place. And I've already started assigning him issues. For example, where there's a definition that we're not terribly happy with. But if anyone wants to take up any of these, it's a decision on, weighing in and jumping in. I'm likely going to, actually, I need to go in and actually tag myself on this one, and I need to assign myself and close that one. That's an old one from last week. And there are some cleanup things. So we have examples that are, not using the same case, that if you see this kind of thing, when we push this out to public review 02, we want to make sure that we're going to minimize these things. So for example, this is a recognition statement talking about authority ID, entity ID, action, resource. But it uses different cases. So I'm actually going to go in and modify this one and change it so it's cleaned up, that it becomes more consistent. That kind of editorial work is really, really appreciated. And if you do have any issues, please add them in, because the goal would be at next week's meeting, which we have both the North America EU and the APAC meeting, is that we put a note out that we're planning to go to public review by the end of the month. Some of these tasks may or may not get done because they're not affecting any of the normative stuff. So if I look, for example, one of the issues we'll discuss probably more next week, the glossary is, excuse me, it's not leveraging spec up T. What I mean by that is when I hover over certain things, if you look at the bottom, you'll see that has a linkage here to trust over IP, GitHub IO, TRQP recognition request.json schema. If that was a spec up T reference, it would give me a hover with a nice little thing, like a little user interface. I'm just trying to find one that's actually, I don't even know if any of them are using this spec up T. I know I put it in somewhere. I don't know where I did one. That doesn't change the nature of the spec itself. It just creates the user interface such that if I get the, the in-flight definition, I can see it in a pop-up of what do we mean by governance framework? What's our definition? I'm not going to lose sleep if that doesn't happen before we go to public review 02. It doesn't change substantively. There's no normative impacts, but it is work that I know that the spec up T group, the Carly, what's the name of the group?
Concepts and terminology.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. Concepts and terminology. They've been working hard on this, so we plan on doing the work on that. But it's going to take one of us to go in and do the actual effort of defs and refs to get those in. But again, it doesn't change the spec at all. But if you have time to do that, it would be massively appreciated because it shows the work that our partners over the Concepts and Terminology Working Group have been doing that hard work of and spending hard-earned cash on that spec up T capability that we want to definitely take advantage of.
So you know what? At the symposium on day 2 is planned to be a spec up T workshop where everything is explained.
Okay, cool. Which hopefully will be, here's an example. So if I do look over hover over governance documents in the bottom left, you can see it goes to glossary.trust.ip term governance documents, but that's not a spec up T reference. This one is. So here's the benefit is, when I use spec up T, I can actually see these things in line. Again, it's not a change that makes this, it's not a normative change, it's a rendering change. We could do this after we go to public review. But again, it is a good thing to do. It's just, does someone have time to do that? Just let us know. And it's not hard. It's not even that onerous. It just takes an eye for detail, which in case you haven't worked with me, that's not my strength. I can do it. It just takes good music and time that I'm hoping I'll have, but please feel free to jump in. Beyond that, yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to I should by next week, I'm hoping, because I have a couple long flights, be able to create the straw man or the outline for what I think we can present at the following week is the symposium, where we explain, why do we have Trust Registry Task Force? Why do we have the TRQP? What business problem is it solving? Who's needing it? How do we use it? And then show the concrete examples, which we've got for the IRA card concept, which we're fleshing out at IRA. It's impacting directly and immediately the first person project, which is, it's not at IRA, but we're working in, I wouldn't say lockstep, we're working independently, but regularly aligning. And I know Andor may have a story there as well on the agent overlay work that he is doing on that. But if anyone else has any stories they want to be telling on what is the Trust Registry Protocol, what's key to you, please feel free to take a pass at that. But also, where is it fitting in your world? Fabrice, I know that this may be something that the work you're doing is something a story we want to tell, because I don't want this to be me talking too much, blurring, confusing people just because it's the same voice saying, "Hi, I'm Daryl from Trust Over IP," and "Hi, I'm Daryl from IRA." I'd love to have other people helping tell the story, but let me know what you think, because it's also coming up pretty quickly.
I think that's probably at the beginning of next year. We will present all our solutions, and I think that, we will have the first implementation of the TRQP v2.
Okay.
So
nothing to share in this update?
I prefer to have all the software ready to do a full demo.
Okay.
I think it's better.
Cool. Let me know if you change your mind. I mean, I'd love to have you on the floor there. I will definitely be wrangling Drummond to share Drummond and/or.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Yeah. The problem is that I'm really short of time at the moment. So So that's why I prefer organizing everything for the beginning of next year. I think it will be better for us.
Okay.
I don't want to present something which is not exactly as I want. So I think it's better to be a little more. But I'm quite sure you will be surprised.
Awesome. Awesome.
In a positive way.
Good. I'm looking forward to that, dude. I'm looking forward to that. It's just, do you let me know if you want mention made in that, and we'll do our best to mention you. And Dan, what you're working on with Accenture as well, and Scott, what you're working on with C2PA and other fora that you're leading. Let us know. And John Bauer, you too.
Well,
Is there
yeah,
anything
we
else?
were leveraging more of this, but we talk about it for future. The stuff that we've been doing is very, rudimentary, classic trustless sort of stuff, but with an eye to the future that, it's more than, a binary decision, trusted or not.
Right. Yeah, we're seeing a lot of our members, for example. I mean, Dan, you've not been overly. I don't know that you're active or aware of what Accenture is doing in IRA. I'm not going to speak for Accenture, but a lot of our members are realizing that they have lists in house that they didn't even realize that they had. So, just let us know if you want to discuss that. Anything you wanted us to raise in that presentation. So, but if there's nothing else, folks, I'm happy to provide an extra half hour back to your day. And I'm going to go close that one ticket. I'll put a note in the other one that Alex has responded to and close it. I do want to make sure that the locator object is in there. I didn't see it in the code base, but that's something I'll make sure that gets into the code. But certainly before I close that one off that talks about locator. Any other questions or thoughts?
I like Scott's comments. I'm glad that you captured it. I think having the timestamp, on whatever, transaction, including the source of that timestamp is going to be key, so that then you could say, were you authorized to issue this? Then you could look at the timestamp and say, wait, this COVID credential was issued at this time, but you weren't even authorized at that time, so I do think that's going to be important. Yeah.
Yep. So that capability is already in there. The question is how much rigor was on the data? Show me the data that you actually did have it. You're not cooking the books, or most of the time it's just cleaning up admin stuff, right? Backfilling. But we want to find the nefarious.
Cool.
Awesome. All right, folks. I'm going to jump back to knocking a few things out that relate directly to this and get some things cleaned up. Oh, good to see you, Will.
Thank you.
Jeff, I didn't see you there on the list of participants. Hope you're having an awesome day. Bye, folks.
Bye.